Imagine the vastness of the Amazon as night falls. The river water gets so dark it looks like a black mirror reflecting the moon. The trees lean in, almost as if they're trying to listen to whatever moves along the shore. The air is heavy, warm, alive. And in the middle of that thick silence, something stirs beneath the surface. First, a soft whirlpool, then a slow ripple, barely noticeable, until two massive shapes begin rising from the liquid darkness. Some fishermen swear they've seen, just for a second, huge glowing eyes shining from beneath the water. Others say they've heard whispers, almost like human voices mixed with the sound of the river. The legend says they weren't ordinary snakes, but mystical beings born from an enchanted woman, carrying within them the dual nature of the forest, the force that protects and the fury that destroys. On one side, Cobra Norato, the spirit who took the form of a giant serpent to live adventures, help travelers, and explore the world of humans. On the other, his sister, Caninana, a cruel, merciless creature who dragged boats to the depths, devoured animals whole, and spread terror wherever she went, to siblings, to opposing forces, to colossal presences that, according to many, still travel the Amazonian rivers when no one is watching. And the question lingers among those who navigate these deep waters. Are these creatures still out there? Do they watch the riverbanks on silent nights, waiting for the right moment to rise? Today, on Urban Secrets, we're diving into the fascinating and terrifying legend of Cobra Norato and Caninana, a story of magic, conflict, and mystery in the most enigmatic waters of Brazil. The Amazon has always been a place where the natural and the supernatural walk side by side. Its vast rivers, endless waterways, and dense forest-hide stories that existed long before the arrival of colonizers. Indigenous peoples passed these tales down orally, generation after generation, building a mythical world that explains what science still struggles to understand. Among these stories, few are as striking as the legend of Cobra Norato and Caninana. The myth originated mainly among river communities in the Para region and spread throughout the Amazon basin as part of local folklore. In places where nature is constant, overwhelming, and ever-present, the idea of enchanted beings living in the rivers never sounded absurd. If anything, it was a way to make sense of phenomena that defied simple explanation. A giant shadow under a canoe, a sudden whirlpool in calm water, the disappearance of seasoned fishermen. All of that could be the work of ancient spirits that protected or punished as they pleased. Cobra Norato represents the benevolent side of this enchanted world. Born from a woman transformed into a serpent, he was seen as curious, brave, and fascinated by humans. In many versions of the legend, Norato takes human form at night, attends village celebrations, and helps whoever crosses his path. To many, he symbolizes harmony between humans and nature, a balance built on respect for the forest. Caninana, on the other hand, embodies the destructive and unpredictable force of the Amazon. Seen as violent and insatiable, she attacked boats, terrorized villages, and was feared even by protective spirits. She represents the untamed side of the forest, the reminder that the Amazon is alive, powerful, and ruled by its own laws. Together, these two beings form one of the most iconic stories in Amazonian folklore, a tale that blends wonder, danger, and a landscape so grand it feels made for mythical creatures. The legend survives to this day, not only as a traditional tale, but as part of the cultural identity of the region. It echoes in festivals, in fishermen's stories, and even in literature. And beneath its beauty lies an enigmatic tone that still raises questions. If the Amazon still holds secrets we can't explain, who's to say the rivers don't hide something science hasn't discovered yet? On the banks of the Amazon rivers, where the water feels like it could swallow the whole world, and the night gets heavy like a thick curtain, the stories of Cobra Norato and Maria Caninana aren't just tales, they're warnings. These stories always start slow, with a sound that doesn't quite sound like anything recognizable, a deep bubbling, as if something down below is breathing. Experienced fishermen, the kind who've seen everything, describe the same feeling every time. The water changes. Whirlpools appear where everything was calm just moments before. Fish vanish in seconds, and boats, even the lightest ones, get pulled with an unnatural force, like invisible hands trying to drag them under. In the oldest versions, Cobra Norato appears as a curious, almost human creature. Born from an enchanted mother, he learned to walk between two worlds. By the riverbank, when the moon is just a thin silver line, people say Norato transforms. He puts on a fisherman's clothes, talks with boatmen, offers help fixing torn nets. He likes music and the small riverside parties, and his presence usually brings good luck to anyone who treats him with respect. Some say he rescued lost fishermen, guided canoes through dangerous fog. To many, he is the curious guardian of the water, a being who honors the ancient rules between humans and the forest. Maria Caninana is the opposite. Where Norato brings blessing, Maria brings loss. Her name is whispered with fear. She's described as enormous, with eyes that reflect fire and teeth that gleam like blades. When Maria shows up, there's no time for bravery. The night swallows the screams. They say she loves ambushing boats on river bends where the current is treacherous. In some stories, entire boats disappear without a trace. In others, travelers wake up the next morning on the riverbank with no memory of how they got there, covered in scratch marks and carrying a salty smell of something old. The conflict between the two siblings is a vital part of the story. In some versions, Maria envies Norato's bond with humans. She wants control over the world he protects, and their encounters end in fury. On new moon nights, locals swear they've heard battles happening underwater, deep thuds, sharp cracks like branches breaking beneath the surface, and a vibration strong enough to shake the palm trees. Bend silence. And the next day, bits of plants and torn fishing nets wash up on the shore, silent proof of a fight no one witnessed. Modern accounts have brought the fear back. One river dweller said that on his last trip, something heavy pulled his canoe. He fought it, rowing with everything he had, until a long serpentine shadow wrapped round the keel and spun the boat. Luckily, Norato appeared that night, at least according to him, rising as if he were floating on top of the water. The man swears the creature touched the bow, placed a hand on his head, and whispered a word that sounded like wind. The canoe was released, and the feeling of being saved was so strong that he now performs small rituals of gratitude. Not every story ends well. Some speak of nets ripped clean in half, catches that vanish entirely, manioc crops that wither for no reason. Old beliefs recommend simple offerings: a gourd of water, a little flower left on the riverbank, songs sung at dusk. These gestures aren't empty superstitions. For those who live by these rivers, they're invisible contracts with forces that do not forgive disrespect. What keeps the legend alive is the tension between opposites, one creature that helps and another that destroys, both born from the same essence of the river. And the question whispered around the fires remains the same. When the water quiets and the night closes in, which one comes for you? Or, in the most remote riverbanks, have the two already decided, for reasons only the forest understands, to walk together again? The night was so dark that the river didn't reflect anything. It just seemed to swallow the light whole. The silence was absolute, the kind of silence that makes your ears restless, like the world itself was holding its breath. And it was on that night that everything happened. People living by the river say the air grew heavy. The leaves stopped moving. The water, which had been flowing calmly moments before, became a smooth, still surface. Too still. And then came the first sound, a deep, booming thud, like a giant drum being struck far below the riverbed. Then another, and another. Each impact made the riverbanks tremble. Everyone ran into their homes, blew out their lamps, and shut their doors in a hurry. Only the elders knew what those sounds meant, and not one of them dared to look outside. That's when the water opened. A dark rift tore through the center of the river, as if something colossal was rising. The first to appear was Maria Caninana, her eyes glowing like burning coals. Her body thrashed with furious intensity, sending water flying in every direction. Rage seemed to guide every movement. They say she howled, not like an animal, but like something carrying centuries of hatred. And then, in total contrast, came him, Cobra Norato. The water around him didn't explode, it glowed. A milky, almost bluish light rose with him. While Maria appeared like a storm, Norato emerged like a sunrise, calm, steady, determined. The two stared at each other for long, heavy seconds. The tension between them was so thick it felt like it was pulling the air out of the lungs of anyone watching secretly from behind their shutters. Maria struck first. She hurled her body forward like a black flash. Norato dodged, but the impact shattered an entire tree on the riverbank. The river roared with the force of the battle. Their bodies clashed in violent whirlpools, and every time they met, the river reacted like a living thing, Massive waves slammed the shores, rocks rolled, and canoes came loose all on their own. The fight wasn't just physical. It was ancient. It was inevitable. At the height of the battle, when Maria wrapped her body round Norato, trying to drag him under, something happened. A light burst from the center of the whirlpool, growing brighter, burning hotter, lighting up the whole river. The people who dared to peek swear they saw Norato touch Maria's head, not with anger but with sorrow, and for a single moment she stopped. The river went silent, the light vanished, and both giant serpents disappeared at once, pulled into the depths as if the river had swallowed them whole. To this day, no one knows who won, or if the battle ever really ended. When the fight between Cobra Norato and Maria Caninana vanished into the deep, the river started flowing again as if nothing had happened. The wind returned to the trees, the lamps flickered back to life, and the usual sounds of the night slowly filled the void left by the confrontation. But for the people who lived there, something had changed for good. Locals say that after that night, the river gained a different kind of silence. It wasn't the natural quiet of a sleeping forest anymore. It felt like the river was watching anyone who came too close. Some swear that, in certain early mornings, the water forms long, unnatural ripples that aren't just from the current. On other nights, they say they hear a distant song, soft, sad, like Norato is still there, moving between two worlds, protecting those who respect the river. But there are also stories of the opposite. Some say they've seen red eyes under the surface, felt their boats rocking when there was no wind, noticed the water grow heavy, thicker, almost sticky, signs that Maria Caninana may never have fully left, that she might be waiting, hidden in the dark maze beneath the river, for the right moment to rise again. And it's this duality that makes the legend so fascinating. Cobra Norato represents wisdom, passage, transformation. Maria Caninana embodies fury, imbalance, that ancient fear humanity never really lost. They're two forces that live not only in folklore, but in the imagination and culture of Amazonian communities. When you hear this story, one question stays. Are these beings just myths, or are they memories of something the forest once witnessed? The Amazon is vast, deep, ancient. It's a place where time bends, where the invisible mixes with the everyday. And if there's one thing we learn when we dive into mysteries like this, it's that in the jungle, not everything needs to be seen to exist. If you feel that some stories carry more truth than people want to admit, then you're in the right place. Here on Urban Secrets, we explore everything that lives between the real and the impossible. If you enjoyed this dive into the legend of Cobra Norato and Maria Caninana, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps the channel keep bringing you stories, mysteries, and hidden tales from around the world. And of course, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. There's still so much the forest, the wind, and the darkness want to tell. See you in the next secret.